And the topic today is detaching from attachment. We want to make sure that we set ourselves free. And one of the greatest tenets in the Buddhist teachings is the art and gift of non-attachment. And I have to tell you, attachment is one of those tricky birds that keeps us connected to time and space in a way that debilitates us from the freedom that we are here to experience. Freedom that we may experience infinite source and supply of all good. Freedom to experience radiant wellness. Freedom to experience joy and peace and love. This isn't some airy-fairy idea. This is actually the truth that governs the universe. And when the rubber meets the road, which means when we bring ourselves into this world, we came here to have experiences of joy. And sometimes we get lost because of this dirty little experience called time and space. Time and space, this is the paradox. This is the rub. Time and space is what allows us to have an experience. But if you attach to time and space, then those experiences could be the curse rather than the blessing. We are to stay in the field of non-attached, download and radiate the eternal into time and space. We are to allow ourselves to put on those virtual reality goggles called time and space and not forget that the goggles are on our faces and that behind all of that we get to choose through divine right alignment with the desires of our soul, which are synced and linked with the law of emergence that says there's a divine spark of light that wants to come through us and radiate out into the field that we may be gratiated and satiated by the Holy Spirit. To be gratiated means that we are ingratiated by a great awareness of the divine that is everywhere, omnipresent and omnipotent in every space and every place as us. To take it personally, we are to personalize the divine through us by bringing the energy of our truest, purest desires. But oftentimes, we get tethered to the past. And the past is a dirty little bird. And when a bird gets dirty, its wings get heavy. And when its wings get heavy, it can't fly. So you got to keep yourself clean. Otherwise, you turn into a dirty bird attached to time and space. And you don't want to be that. You want to cleanse yourself, and that is why we meditate. That is why we pray. That is why we reflect. That is why we tap into our desires. Practice generosity. While we practice kindness, we bring those energies that funnel themselves, the eternal energies, they come funneling down as principles and laws. And there's an elegance that governs the universe that allows us, should we become coherent enough to understand and remember. We have to remember, meaning we bring all the members of our field into wholeness, into magnificent alignment. When we remember the truth of who we are and when we remember the truth of who others are, because that's the other twist, the other rub of time and space, is all of a sudden the illusions of separation start to show up, the illusions that there are other people out there separate from me. Maybe they're separate from me by age. Maybe they're separate from me by gender. Maybe they're separate from me by race. And those separations, when you code them in the human experience with trauma, start to create discord, disharmony, disrespect, and irreverence. And that creates a big mess. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, you're so dirty in that energy that you can't flap your wings and you can't fly above the fray of the human experience. And so I'm asking you to participate. One of the key things to untethering yourself is to stop pasting and move into fasting. When you're fasting, you're bringing all the things from the past and you're bringing them into the present, and you might even be projecting them into the future. Stop fasting. Start fasting. Fasting is a spiritual practice that allows us to cleanse. That is the very reason the Sabbath day was brought into this world, so that we can take one day a week, not to go fun and go at the beach and party and drink and do all these crazy things. That's on one of your other days that you do that, although we might want to take a look at that. But the Sabbath created. It is transformational. So if you are not having a Sabbath day that is transformational, then you are stagnating with your tethers to the past, and you are probably fasting instead of fasting. Fasting is part of the Sabbath. To fast from work, to fast from trauma, to fast from certain foods. You know, we use fasting a lot in our dietary. When you fast as a dietary experience, you're giving your body a chance to recalibrate. You're flushing, you're giving it a time to flush out the toxins so you can recalibrate, because there is a homeostatic inertia that is always seeking to reveal itself in your beingness. It is always trying to pull you into wholeness, into wellness, into goodness, into prosperity. And the only thing that prevents that is the poison in the mind that says, I've been fasting and you've wronged me and you did this and you did that and I'm not strong enough and I'm not good enough. And so when we participate in the Sabbath, when we allow ourselves to take that day to commune with Spirit, now we can divide the Sabbath up if we want to. We can have our Sabbath hour every day where we're meditating in the morning, we're meditating in the evening. That's a good way to bookend the day so that you can cleanse your physical, emotional, and mental bodies. We want to cleanse the karmic body. The karmic body is where the dirty bird gets its wings, because the karmic body is the stuff that sometimes is suppressed in our cellular memory and it's in our blind spots. You'll know it's there because it's going to show up as excuses. When you have excuses as to why things aren't working out, you know the wings are covered in dirt and it's preventing you from being able to stretch and fly. And we want to cleanse that so that you can allow yourself to so soar. And we know, as we've been looking over the past several months, we're looking out. We always want to make sure we're keenly attuned. Nothing, we don't want to let anything get by us physically and emotionally, mentally, in our own world, with our own unique relationships with one another, your best friend, your kind of friend, your frenemy, whoever they are. We want to clean those relationships up and see what's reflecting back to me in that relationship. What do I need to know? And what do I need to embody in order that I may be in a greater and grander and more glorious relationship with this person? Because I know there's no separation, and at the level of the soul, you know everybody intimately. You may think you've got a mom and a dad and maybe a brother and a sister or a spouse or a loved one or a child or a dog or a cat. You may think that these are separate entities unto themselves, but we are all united. And there is a global shift taking place right now. And many of people, as you have heard me say over the past several weeks, people are getting antsy. They're getting antsy because they're not listening to the still small voice that gives you the providential awareness of how we all emerge in this and rise up from this together. So we look out into that reflective field and we allow ourselves to see what is reflecting back to me. What do I need to know? What do I need to embody that I may rise into a greater and grander experience of wholeness and goodness in my life? So part of that, there's a two-piece equation here. We're always healing something or we're expressing something. Something is always wanting to express it through you. And when that divine expression from the law of emergence, which is the soul's frequent energy, the frequency of your soul that says, the divine impulse of God has a mandate for you. There's a mandate that wants to come through you. And if you could see the waves of energy, you'd see the temporal field of energy, and you'd see all the billions of people walking around. And then you would see the emergent energies are trying to make their way and download and express through people. They come in and they express. But many people are like, nah, I'm fine. And then they try temporal energies. And temporal to temporal is going to give you a big old headache. And it's going to let you, you're going to find out where things don't work. You're going to find out how to stub your toe. You're going to find out how lack and limitation works. And we want to go and hold ourselves. The only thing you want to tether to, not tether yourself to the past. We're going to give up fasting once we let go of the dirty bird from the past, when we allow ourselves to cleanse and clean and rise into the nowness and the newness, because now and new are synonymous. Everything in the now, in the freshness of God, is new. It's brand new. That's why in our community, we're called New Thought, Ageless Wisdom. This is the same wisdom, the same teaching that Moses and Jesus and Muhammad and Krishna and Buddha, all the same teaching. It's ageless wisdom. But it's coming in a new way, in a new thought, because it has to be fresh to you. When it's fresh, you embody it. And it's like eating fresh fruit that is so delicious. You can tell the difference between, right now, I'm so grateful. I've got fresh tomatoes growing in my garden. I love it. And there's nothing like a great fresh tomato that has been kissed by the sun, by the light of God. It's fresh, it's vibrant. Not like something, you wouldn't eat a stale, old, rotten tomato. You wouldn't eat all that because all its life force has been diminished out of it. So we want to rise into the vibration where we eat freshness. We want to eat that deliciousness through our ears, through our eyes, through our mouths, to speak into the world freshness. And so that only that freshness comes with an unbroken awareness of the divine. And that unbroken awareness of the divine comes in our meditation and in our reading books, reading things that nourish the soul, that cultivate goodness from within you, watching high vibrational programming, allowing yourself to eat healthy food that has high vibrational frequencies in it. These are ways that we start to nurture ourselves when we are coming from all the different angles. We come from all the different angles. We use maybe our essential oils to bring up some of that fragrance that allows us to use the sense of olfactory to calm as we allow certain frequencies to titillate the senses so that we can come into that vibrational field. Then we are tuning and we are aligning with the frequency of desire, capital D desire, the desire that wants to lift you, that not only lifts you, but it cleanses the dirt and allows you to spread your wings so that you can fly. We want to be able to lift ourselves so much that we move into a deeper and greater and grander sense of freedom. Freedom means we are untethered to the past. We are untethered to our trauma. And I know once in a while we come along and we've got a story. We've got a story, but you don't know so-and-so. And that story wants to just like convince me. I'm going to convince you. There's reasons why I'm not succeeding. And we can list them, a litany of reasons why. And I'm going to tell you to take that list, write it out, and then get ready to give it to God. Because this is called unburdening. We have to unburden ourselves of that. And we want to make it personal, that we unburden. So if you have a story as to why I'm depressed, or as why I don't have enough money, or why I can't get support from people, sometimes you just gotta vomit it out. Get it out so that you can open up to the true nature of who you really are, and to really espouse and align with what it says in Proverbs in the Hebrew Bible. I walk in liberty, for I have sought your precepts. And your precepts are the principles, the teachings of truth that you have embodied. Now, most of us, we get distracted. We get distracted by so-and-so or such and such, or we get distracted by something in our trauma body that keeps us limited. And so I'm going to invite you to join me as we set the intention again. There are certain intentions that we're going to set over and over and over again, because there are certain intentions that are going to lift us from glory to greater glory. You might have set some intentions previous to this day where you've said, I am choosing, like we said in our affirmations just a short while ago, that you are choosing to know that you are the beloved in whom God is so pleased, and you are entitled to the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and that infinite prosperity is yours. And then in some other iteration, we're going to have to espouse that again, for as we go out into the world, you're going to find where you've come across some of your excuses that have disabled you from the embodiment. And so we are to transmute those, and we do that through prayer. We do that for checking in with our spiritual practitioners and the healers of the truth, the ones that say, yes, I am going to bring it out of you. Healers that bring nurturing and empowerment. That is what we're looking for. We're not to do this alone. We're to do this. There are certain things we do on our own, because there are certain things you can on your own. But there are other people, the way showers, that can help bring you there. This Sunday service is a way to help bring you there, so that we may say and be in that field of true freedom, as the theme of the month would suggest. To move into that, there has to be an exchange. We want to exchange energy through the law of transmutation. The law of transmutation, one of the simplest ways to do that is to first identify the issue and say, bring your awareness in meditation before the altar of God Almighty to unburden yourself and to say, okay, I'm releasing, let's just say we were having a health challenge or a monetary challenge. I'm releasing lack and limitation around this, and I am opening my heart, my body, my mind, my soul to know what it means, what it feels like, what it is to embody true infinite supply as prosperity, as financial freedom. I want to know. So you choose to use the power of inquiry. And when you ask the universe to show you how it feels, what it's like to know the infinite eternal truth, it will activate it immediately. It does not hesitate. It's been waiting. The universe is waiting for you to turn from lack and limitation to infinite supply. That's the divine inertia that is pulling us constantly, ceaselessly. This is what our spiritual practice is all about, and it's inevitable. There can be some people right now who are just like, nah, I don't need any of that. I can just go ahead and eat my bonbons and drink my beers and complain about people and blame and shame people, and I can bring out, judgments against people. They will have to come to terms and come to task with that in their own way. But we are not to blame or shame those who blame and shame. We are to bring our consciousness that we may love our enemy. And so as we're looking out into this world of affairs right now, there's a paradigm shift that's taking place. An enormous paradigm shift. And we want to participate in the conscious up-leveling of that paradigm shift, not buying into the news, because as Reverend Michael's often said about the news, it's really the olds, because you're watching a regurgitation of the tethers to the past. You're starting to do your pasting instead of your fasting, and we want to make sure that we don't allow the past to infiltrate the future. But the only way to clearly eliminate those tethers to the past is to allow deep introspection and reflection, and allow yourself to be pulled by the passion of your soul, which means you ask. You choose to know. I choose to know the passions of my soul. You evoke them. Evocation is a key, integral part of spiritual practice. If I am not evoking consciously, I might be evoking unconsciously. I might be evoking by my negformations, my negative affirmations. I might be evoking more disaster, more poverty, more discord or disrespect. I'm assuming none of you are into that. I'm not into it. I'm into glory to greater glory, and I've had plenty of those other things. I'm done with that. I'm ready to say yes to God. And believe me, again, this isn't for the airy-fairy. The meek shall inherit the earth means that when you are meek, it means you're available to God. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're becoming powerful. It means you're becoming in attunement and in alignment with the vibration of your soul, and therein lies the nectar and the keys to the kingdom. The keys to the kingdom and the queendom of pure holy light come from communion with your soul. It's more of who you are than anything else. If you think you know who you are, think again. Move into communion and know who you were before you incarnated into this form, before you took a man's body or a woman's body. or you took a color, or you took a shape, or a size, or a nationality. All of those are beautiful, but they don't mean boo if you don't allow radiance to shine through those beautiful things. It's wonderful to have the diversity of nationalities and cultures and colors and religions and all of that good stuff. We don't make any of that. We just adjust and attune and align so that the law of radiance, as it radiates through you, lifts you into higher, greater good. So I'm going to ask you to take a look at your schedule. Get out your day planner, get out your calendar on your iPhone or your whatever other smartphones you got out there, and start looking. How much time do you spend in communion? We'll just take a round number. If you're supposed to take 1 day a week to commune with Spirit, to be in the Sabbath energy, then let's take that 24 hours and divide it up, and we'll take out the 8 hours for sleeping, and we'll go ahead and we'll divide those hours up, and you take those hours and you got to find a place for them, and either in every day or in 1 day that you are practicing fasting, because we want to rise up into a greater and grander vision and version. And I'm going to tell you, some of you are going to say, oh, I don't know, I don't have enough time. Well, lo and behold, COVID comes along, and a lot of people have a lot of time. So you have no excuse. You have no excuse right now. And so we want to rise up, because we are a community that is choosing to rise into a greater and grander, more benevolent, more beautiful expression of heaven on earth for everyone. We are saying yes to the end or the transmutation of racism. We're saying yes to the end or the transmutation of genderism. We are saying yes, and we're allowing a transmutation into ageism. Anything that would perpetuate lack or hate is the highest vibrational experience of separation there is. And we want to eliminate that. And that includes the lower vibration on that hate scale is, oh, there's so-and-so, my frenemy, that kind of irritates me. Well, where do you think that fits on the scale of negativity? And so God operates at 100%. So if you have a frenemy, if you have a friend, if you have someone in your life that irritates you, clean it up. We want to clean it all up. What does that look like? Find out what it is that's bothering you about that. Find out what it is you need to know in order to grow, what you need to embody, that you rise. And do not fall prey to the illusion that you need to convince them that if they just fixed their attitude, everything would be fine between you. Do not fall prey to that mistake. That is an illusion. It may be somewhat true to some degree, but as you take care of all of this and take personal responsibility for your own life, everything will place. As we move in and know for how wonderful it is to do your will, for that is freedom. As it says in A Course in Miracles, how wonderful it is to do your will, God's will, for that is true freedom. So we want to know, what is God's will specifically? That's the law of emergence through you. What is God's will specifically as you? That's something you want to know, whether you know it or not. And so this is how we stop fasting and move into fasting, and this is how we allow ourselves to cleanse by integrating the Sabbath day. It's been around for thousands of years, and those who use it in earnest thrive. They thrive physically, emotionally, mentally, and it matters not where you are in the journey. It doesn't matter whether you've just been born or you're getting ready to move to the other side. It matters not, because eternality is going nowhere. Eternality is here to stay, I'm afraid. And so you might as well get on the boat, you might as well get on the train, you might as well clean off your wings, you might get ready to fly no matter where you are, because in God all things are new. And so we're going to take this and we're going to allow ourselves. I'm just going to invite you to, let's see. I'm just going to ask you to take for a moment, and we want to let go of attachment. So I want you to think of something you'd like to experience. Think of something you'd like to have, whether it's a new car, a spouse, whatever it is. Think of something you'd like to have. And then I want you to try to figure out every little detail of how you're going to get it. Figure out every single little detail, what you're gonna do, how you're gonna raise the funds, who you're gonna call, what you're gonna plan. Are you gonna do an outline? Think of every little teeny tiny detail you could possibly think of in order to get that to happen. And if you're doing that, you're probably gonna find out it's exhausting. It's exhausting to get in there and try to do what serendipity and synchronicity, what the law of creation is to do through and for you. Now, if you go in and you commune with Spirit and you say, show me what brings me joy, show me what's seeking to emerge to, through, and as my life, and what do I need to know, what do I need to do, what do I need to embody, you'll find a spaciousness around that. You'll find a spaciousness because it's not going to be you that doeth the work. It's going to be God that goes before you and makes the crooked path straight. This is the proper use of steeping and stepping into the law of creation, the laws that govern the universe, so that you can thrive. So I just want you to give you a little sample of when you're efforting and you're trying. That doesn't mean you got to know the difference between efforting and trying, where I'm trying to coerce the universe, and resistance. Resistance means that I'm like, oh no, I don't need to go, work out. I don't need to eat healthy because I'm just going to allow all this cake to show up in my body as nutrition. Well, unless you have an awareness in your beingness that can transmute on the spot, you could eat a cookie or a cake and it could have the effect of a beautiful, fresh, bountiful basket of fruit, but your consciousness would be so high in order for that to happen, you wouldn't even want to do it. So let's just do it in a way that is practical and spiritual and principled, where we steep and step into this, and we're going to do that right now by moving into the prayer field. I'm going to invite you to join me. Just bring your awareness, your consciousness with me where we let go. Prayer is where we let go. We untether in prayer. We activate the law of transmutation and the law of creation simultaneously to converge in our beingness. When we come into prayer, we do that by allowing ourselves to evoke a feeling of gratitude. Whether you feel the energy, the frequency of gratitude, or you just simply bring to mind, something that you are grateful for. Either way, you can tap into the vibration of gratitude with not necessarily needing to know what you're grateful for, or you can think of something you're grateful for. We move into that vibration of gratitude. It opens the door, the portal to the divine, to the very heart of God, to the very heart of our soul. We open to that, to the great remembering of knowing that it is God's good pleasure to bring the kingdom of heaven to and through and as you, not for you, not delivered to lie out in front of you, but to be embodied through you. We return to the great remembering, the great wisdom, the mystical teachings of embodiment. We allow ourselves to enter into the Sabbath, communion with Spirit. We allow ourselves to untether from the past and completely surrender to the eternal. This is the very meaning of our oneness with God. To surrender to the eternal, to surrender to the call of our soul, to remember that each and every one of us is born in the image and the very likeness of God. And we choose to know what that means even more than ever before. Even more than ever before, that is the very mantra of glory to greater glory. Even more than ever before in God. Yes. And so I'm grateful to know that that very same power, presence, elegance, brilliance, and beauty that right now is flowing no less than thousands of rivers and streams as water flow over rocks and boulders, waterfalls cascading down, and God knows where every droplet is. God knows where every grain each around this globe. That intelligence that is so precise, it knows every cell, molecule, bone, and tissue of your beingness better than you know yourself. We open to that divine wisdom because it's coded and loaded in our beingness. And we say yes to a greater and grander experience of effulgent, magnificent, radiant light than ever before. We say yes to say, speak, Lord, thy servant heareth, that we may know what to see, feel, hear, know, and embody in our beingness, that we may be the harbingers and the the messengers of truth and goodness in every way, shape, and form. We are good at receiving our good. We are good at being prosperous. We are good at being filled to overflowing with radiant health and wellness, and we are good at generosity and kindness and loving our brothers and sisters of every color and every creed around the world. We are good at living in a world that works for everyone. This is the vibrational field of win-win. This is God. This is what we say yes to. We allow that angelic vibration to filter and flow itself into this world through us to our passions and purpose like never before. And we are untethered. We allow our wings to spread so freely that the breath of God allows us to float and fly and to spread that energy as blessings everywhere we go all the time. And it is from a place of deep and abiding gratitude and thanksgiving, knowing that each and every one of us is the beloved in whom God is so pleased. We say yes to this right now. And as we hold this in our awareness for our own beingness, we hold it for our friends and our family members. I invite you to speak their names either aloud or in your mind. Somebody you're holding in prayer. If there's somebody that's irritating, you hold them right now in a field of purified wholeness, goodness, love, peace, joy, reverence, and respect. That's mutual magnificence. Hold them there. We hold everybody that's on our prayer list at Soul Center, our personal prayer list. We hold them in the vibration of harmonizing good, divine cooperation, mutual magnificent reverence and respect. We hold them, we allow it to be, and then we ground it. We ground this energy, we claim it, we ground it, we let it be by saying, and so it is, and so I let it be. Amen, Amen, Amin, Ashe, Aho, Shalom, Mahalo, Hotep, and Hallelujah. Steeping and stepping into that, just marinating in that for a moment, I invite you as we come to this part of our service where we're preparing our offering. And knowing that as we prepare our offering, known as our tithe, the highest vibration of circulation and generosity, we are tithing at the vibration of infinite supply, which means whatever we send out cycles back and it returns to us minimally 100-fold. That's what we are allowing. And the more juicy and the more sincere we are in that vibration, where we know there's no my money, there's only the circulation of infinite supply, the more it returns to you as that free-flowing frequency. So I'm going to invite you to go ahead. If you are at soulcenteroc.com right now, you can scroll down and hit the donate button. It's a safe and secure site. If you are on Facebook or Instagram right now, you can either go to soulcenteroc.com and you can hit the donate button, or you can text to donate. You can text GIVE, G-I-V-E, to area code 669-342-2157. Again, you can text the word GIVE to area code 669-342-2157. You can even go to our website and you can look up the snail mail address and you can mail in a check. We love receiving things the old-fashioned way. We'd appreciate that. However you tithe, we are grateful. And as you've heard me be mentioning over the weeks, I know that some people have been they've been furloughed, or maybe they're in the search for their next great job that is a career that really satiates them. If you're in between and you've maybe reduced your tithe, we're grateful there's been people who have been picking up the slack. And if you're one of those people that can help pick up the slack a little bit, we'd really appreciate it. And we're blessing everyone in our community that we all thrive in infinite benevolent prosperity and abundance of all good in every way, shape, and form.